Hello there. What's going on, everyone? Today we're talking about Legion and unique core options. How you guys doing? Sorry, I just wanted to wear a mask to match my shirt today. By the way, we have those in the Teespring store, so be sure to click the links down in the description below if you want to get some merch. So, talking about unique core options today, because we don't have any unique core, and what would that even be? And that's going to be the subject of today's video, because I was thinking about it the other day, and I was like, it would be pretty cool to get some type of unique core. Core are generally seen as kind of grunts, or your basic infantry, your nameless soldiers kind of marching off into battle. But what if we had a unique core option? What if these guys were, Joe, Charlie, Bob, Dick, and Joe? Joe number 2. And he's like, which Joe? Well, Joe 2. I'm like, I'm supposed to be Joe 2. You're not Joe 2. You're Joe 1. And, well, you were here first, so I'm Joe 2. I don't know. Anyway, so, but yeah, wouldn't that be interesting if we had unique core options? And how would that work? And should it even work? And that's what I'm talking about today. Also, if you guys are new here, there's still time left to enter to win the $25 Amazon gift card giveaway. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. I'm actually going to be announcing the winner for that in just a couple of days, so stay tuned. It'll usually be at the end of one of my videos. So one of the things that got me thinking about this is, we've had some unique other units before with Imperial Special Forces. For example, Inferno Squad while the unit card itself isn't unique, you can only have one of them because it requires Del Meeko and Gideon Hask, which are both unique. So you've got like unique Special Forces units as well as generic versions of those same Special Forces units. And I mean, would a unique core even fall into the category of being, Special Forces and not be any unique core at all anymore? You might have said something like that with something like Inferno Squad, but I don't believe they really qualify as core because, heck, even in Battlefront 2, where these guys were first introduced, they're referred to directly as Special Forces. But we have seen some other things that have kind of transcended a little bit, because you can put Del Meeko or some of the other unique people into core squads. For example, you can run Del Meeko with your Imperial Special Forces, or you can run him with with any Imperial core unit, which then kind of makes that core unit something of a unique core unit, right? They're being led specifically by Del Meeko. You can also do this with clones. Echo and Fives and the ARC Troopers allow them to go into any clone trooper, which is not the same as any core for the Republic, but any clone trooper particular type of unit, which is actually kind of interesting, because if you were at some point to be able to come up with a clone trooper core for a different faction, if the Empire had them, for example, if they had some clones, then Fives could, in theory, kind of go over there, right? Because this one says Imperial Core Trooper only. This one just says Clone Trooper Core only, which is kind of fun. So I thought that's just a fun little thing to talk about. So why would we want, what would really be the benefit in getting a unique core option? Because some might say, well, isn't a core really supposed to not be unique? Well, core is one of those types of units that allows you to get higher unit counts than usual. One part is because they usually come with the personnel option, but another part is they also have a heavy weapon option, and sometimes they usually come with at least 3 minis. But like in the case of the Separatists, we've seen them even higher than that. We've seen 6 base count on core. And so for people who want to get like larger groups of recognizable characters together that they wouldn't want to be able to duplicate, like how many of us would love to get the Ghost Crew back together all in one unit, like moving as a full team around the battlefield? Well, you've got 6 characters right there, not to mention if you wanted to add Callus or anybody else of their friends into that particular unit, you'd have a hard time doing that with the Special Forces, because that certainly breaks the norm of Special Forces. Now, I'm not saying it couldn't be Special Forces, or maybe some kind of big unit that runs all of them should be its own unique unit type. Maybe a special heroic unit is in order. Maybe we need a new type of heroic unit that just runs all, but then that could be problematic for a lot of the established game mechanics, because now instead of just having these types of units, now you have a whole new type of unit, and that would require a lot of backwards compatibility, because a lot of cards and a lot of mechanics have been built thinking that you're only going to have, like core, commander, operative, special forces, support, and heavy think I got them all right there, right? Didn't I? Well, but yeah, so like a lot of stuff is kind of expecting that you're going to have only this many types. But what if, they did make some unique core? Now, I don't think that maybe like some of our most heroic type of units really fall into the category of being core. I mean, we've certainly seen other ways to get multiple heroic characters in the way of counterparts. For example, R2D2 has the ability to just take a counterpart, and in theory, they could make more counterpart cards that allow for multiple counterparts. So you could have, Sabine out there and just be able to add to her stuff. Like maybe maybe they come up with a Rebels pack that has all the rest, and they all have all these counterpart cards where you can run, them kind of however many you want. You can run Kanan and Ezra together, or you can run Kanan, Ezra, and Sabine, or you can run, Zeb and Ezra together teaming up, or you can run Hera and Chopper, or Hera, Kanan, and Chopper, or any kind of permutation. And through the use of those counterpart cards, that could be another way to do it. So maybe teams like this aren't the best option for core. So what would be maybe a better option for core? Somebody who kind of is a little bit more less of like a hero for their own show. Well, maybe the Bad Batch. Although granted, I know the timing is bad on this because they do have their own show coming out. But if the way we saw them in season 7 of Clone Wars was kind of more operating more like something that we would definitely expect to see in Legion. But I think these guys are probably a more likely candidate for Special Forces, even though they're I mean, it could go either way. It will probably be Special Forces, but something like this would be a good example of like, well, they were supposed to be just like everybody else, like regular clones, but they came out special, and and so they're unique in that aspect. So I think the Bad Batch would probably more than likely be a unique Special Forces rather than a unique core unit. But I thought about this for a while, and I did come up with one potential way, and that would be through doing unique type of units. Look at Domino Squad. Like that's they're certainly more Special Forces, right? Back when they were doing their thing in season 2 or season 3, when I think of the Clone Wars, when they first kind of opened up with the backstory for all of these guys. Domino Squad would be an option. You'd have to find a way to allow it to include Echo and Fives into this version. You might just have young Echo and young Fives in here, or maybe you make special cards for I definitely would love one for Heavy, but maybe you make special Heavy cards, special cut up cards, and special droid bait cards, and then you run a unique core unit that has a 0 unit count, and you just add them all as maybe it's got 5 heavies that it can take. Wouldn't that be interesting? But then again, if you have too many individual named heroes in a squad, it could still constitute a problem or some difficulty as far as making it compatible with other things. You could just easily just make Domino Squad and just make all the minis, and we just have to paint them a certain way and know how they are, and that could work. But what if you didn't have characters with specific names in a unique core option? Because that seems to be a little bit more likely for core, that they would still be kind of nameless, but still unique. And how do you do that? Well, what about something like the 501st? I mean, there was a unique unit. Granted, they were larger than just a single unit of cores. It was more than 6 dudes in the 501st. But what if you had a specific, detachment of 501st? Like if you had Ahsoka's group or something like that. So like that could possibly work, like the 332nd or something like that. I think that is definitely an option that you could have. It would probably be an alternate sculpt, right? It would probably be really just more clone troopers, just kind of like what you already have. And I know a lot of people have already painted up their stuff in 501st, so they could just do them that way. You could probably come up with a way to make it like 501st. And then maybe call them from a specific company or from a specific battalion or something like that, or 501st elites, and that would still be a core unit. But in this way, you could still have your entire 501st, but then maybe you have your 501st elites. You could do the same thing with stormtroopers for the Empire. They wouldn't have to even be a totally unique unit either. Because there were clones that still served, from the 501st that still served into the Empire, and wouldn't it be cool if the Empire actually had clones? And here's why that might not be quite so crazy as it sounds at first, at least, because you wouldn't be able to run 6 of them. You wouldn't be able, maybe it was limited. Maybe you could run 2 of them, right? So instead of the dot in front of the unit card, they had 2 dots. Other games have done this. X-Wing does this all the time. They're called limited, not just unique, but limited, where you have 2 or even 3 dots. It says, hey, you can have only a certain number of these. I would love for a 501st for the Empire to come out with 2 dots in front of the name, restricting you to just 2 options of this in any one list. This way you get just a little bit of that clone synergy without having too much of it. It wouldn't, it would give you an option to kind of run an early Empire. A little bit of clone taste, 501st, elites, 501st Elite Stormtrooper units, having it restricted to only 2, it would still kind of be about the same thing. And this is, I think, like maybe something that's a little bit more within striking distance of reality, giving something new and it's harder to come up with more and more core options. Granted, the Empire has an awful lot of options considering all of the different Stormtrooper variations that we've seen. But it's harder to do that for everybody else. But wouldn't this be a fun one? I think we'd have a little bit more of a difficult time trying to do this for other factions. Droids, they could probably just come up with a different variant or one of the other guilds, taking control of them. And on the box art, they have a different paint scheme. Maybe the Rebels could pull some units out of Twilight Company. I will admit that this is one of those books that I have not read out of the new canon. But it did kind of seem like it was a lot more kind of in the trenches, military-minded type of stuff. So there might be some good candidates for unit names specifically that they could pull out of here. I don't know if Twilight Company itself would be a good name for a unique or limited core option for the Rebels, but I think there's a path forward for stuff like that. So I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think we'll see a little bit more limited or restricted, more kind of an elite core option, or do you think that job is strictly for special forces? I think they've been changing the boundaries up a little bit. I mean, like Darth Maul came with some probe droids, and those certainly aren't dudes. It's special forces. That's just 3 little hoverbots that aren't really combatants. They're really just there for support. So I think the roles can potentially shift a little bit, and it's all about playtesting and balance. And if it works thematically and if it's fun, then let's see it. But I would love to hear what you guys think. Let me know down in the comment section. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to stay tuned. On February 3rd, we're going to be getting that live stream from AMG. I will be doing a watch-along party, so if you stay tuned in, I'll start up probably early beforehand, and we'll talk about the things that we expect to see. If you guys are into terrain, I'm doing a lot of terrain reviews currently this week, so stay tuned for that as well. And big thanks to my patrons. You guys are absolutely amazing. I couldn't do this without your continued support, so thank you. If you're interested in Patreon or other ways to support the channel, check the links in the description below. Thank you so much, and as always, have a great day.